Hello, everyone. Sometimes you win some, sometimes you lose some. Over the last few days, I lost a lot. In fact, I lost almost 20% of the possible ELO points that I could possibly lose. And that's pretty big for someone who's rated around 1800 or 800. Um, yeah, I went from like about 900 to um, I think it was 9 or 756, 54, 754. Um, I just like would lose one game after the next, and it was very frustrating. The only thing I could think of is I was more tired than usual, which definitely I believe was making a big factor. I wasn't managing my time. I was losing a lot of the games on time, even though I was in a great winning position. Sometimes I would just like make a stupid blunder um, because I was moving too quickly. There's a couple of games where I made some mouse slips and just completely lost a piece. Um, but I mean that's all a part of the game, and just have to be more refreshed and also be more careful on where you click your mouse and drag and drop and all that stuff. But anyways, in this uh, downward spiral over a few days, I had a couple of good games, and there's two games where it was very instructive. They lost their queen in a queen trap, and it's common within the Jabava London uh, to do this, but a lot of people don't know about it and they fall for the trap. So the next couple of games I'm going to show you will be two games where they fell for that trap. And this is the first time I've had them fall into this trap, and I was so excited. It's like, yes, I always wanted to um, see that or play that um, variation, and I got the chance to twice. So without further ado, let's take a look at the games. And here's the first game. Uh, Played at 823 for Rubin from the United States. And let's get started. I started up with my normal Job of London setup, and then they played this setup where they had that little triangle, and their bishop is trapped in there, and um, I don't even know what they call this, but anyhow, I just developed my pieces to the normal squares, and I just thought, hey, let's start pushing the pawn. They pin the knight. I hate it when they do that. I've been trying to play this pawn up so that they don't do that, but they did. So I had moved my knight over here so that if they took, I can just recapture. So anyhow, um, you already see that they're kind of preparing to go after that pawn, and I lift up the pawn to say, hey, what's going on with your bishop? And he took, I took back, and then they thought, oh, free pawn, and this is a big blunder. A lot of times it's like people are thinking, hey, I can just throw my queen around and ravage their position. because like, oh, if I didn't move, maybe take the knight with the check, um, possibly go after the bishops, pawns, rooks, wherever they can get a hold of. But that is a big blunder because of one move. And if um, usually the queen is on this square when they do this, and then you pull up the pawn to challenge the queen, um, and usually then they take that pawn. Um, but you play the pawn up in order to take off that square so you can play the knight over here. So that is what I did. I just played the knight over there, and where's the queen going to go? The queen is trapped. They can't go here, 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 or here. Can't go there, can't go here, can't go here because the knight. And then this square guarded by that pawn. This square guarded by this pawn. This square guarded by that bishop. And this square guarded by my knight. There is no possible moves for this queen to get out of. It's stuck. And really the best move, just take the rook, get what you can, and be done with it. And that's what my opponent did. And gave me a winning position just on that simple little trap that some people fall for. So they castled, moved that knight up, attacking this pawn. I moved the queen in order to guard it. I guess I could also move the bishop back to guard it, but I didn't like the queen being stuck in that corner. It seems like it was just not doing that much. I wanted to get the queen back in the middle of the board somewhere, uh, so it covers more squares. Anyways, they attacked my knight, pulled it back. They protect their pawns, and they got a nice um, um, setup with their pawns, covering up most of the light squares, rendering my light square bishop, for the most part, pretty weak. But it does make this um, uh, bishop a lot more powerful. So a bit of a trade-off there. So just kind of reposition the pieces to try and make more attacking ideas and opportunities. I didn't want to take that um, uh, that pawn because it would allow him to take like develop the knight and also hit that bishop. And I just wanted to try and preserve my pieces and march these pawns up so that my rook and my queen can target uh, the enemy king and try and checkmate him. So that was my thoughts, my plans for this game. And they attacked the bishop. I just ignored that one, um, which was, yeah, a bit of a mistake because I could do a lot more damage by putting this bishop on this side of the pawn structure, put a lot more pressure on him. But they took, I recaptured, and then I walked into the fork. And at this point, I was like, oh, how do I get out of this? How can I make the most of this and try and survive the game? And I did what was considered to be a bit of a blunder. Um, and I tried to get the king out and um, and try and make it so I could check him a few more times and try and pull out these pieces without them being taken. Um, but my calculations weren't precise, and but I did do a good job of luring the king out when the king should have moved back uh, uh, in the protections. So I checked with the rook. They went back, and yeah, there wasn't um, really any more checks that I could give that would be productive. Um, so I went and blundered another um, uh, knight, but in true fashion of my elo, they chose the wrong piece to attack first to take, and it allowed me to capture that rook. They recaptured me. I went up. Um, it would have been more accurate to take that pawn. I don't know exactly why. I didn't want that knight to get even more active, so I just pushed and tried to attack this piece, but multiple pieces, just trying to make my way in. And they had their own blunder, moved it up, and try and get my pawns down to the end of the board. Um, so yeah, that attacking, I moved it but pulled it back, and this is just kind of the way it played out. I was trying to create some sort of battery to ram through, and I was also thinking about pushing this pawn so I could maybe try and deliver some sort of a checkmate down here, but just trying to react to their threats. And I got a brilliancy. Um, I was up material, and I thought if I could just check him with the king, that I could capture uh, like maybe one of these pieces. And the computer liked it. It was a brilliancy, which I have been getting more and more of. So it's giving me encouragement when I see them. So yeah, and then since I had a pass pawn, can push, 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 they'll have to probably sacrifice the knight. And the pawn isn't in any danger. And I was trying to create multiple threats, targeting both the rook and the knight. Um, I don't think that there's a way for them to save both of them. So that's why I moved there and check. And yeah, they resigned here. They didn't have a whole lot of um, ability to like push pawns, and and I was just about ready to promote. So they resigned. Now on to the next game. I played Andy Evans 594, 556 rated from Wales. and the it kind of went in a similar fashion, the normal Java London setup, but they blundered a piece right away. They didn't see that my bishop can go backwards. They're trying to fork these two pieces, and it's a shame for them. But yeah, try to move my stuff back into normal Java London places, get good squares, and yeah, that threw me off guard because they just hung their uh, knight um, to this pawn, and then they had their queen here, and I took that, and it surprised me even more when they didn't take, but they're trying to infiltrate into my base camp um, and ravage it and win uh, like a million points. But right here, again, this knight, beautiful knight, moved it to that same square. The pawn, the pawn does need to be pushed up. Um, it doesn't work if the pawn is on this square. So before this trap will even work, you need to push that pawn up. So if you see the queen up here, be sure to get that pawn pushed. So I moved my knight to the square, and again, where are they going to go? Like all the squares are taken. Um, where they possibly can move that queen. The queen is trapped. So they were kind of clever. They checked me there, and for some reason, I didn't take because that would free up a square um, um, for the queen to escape. So I wanted the queen. I didn't want the bishop. I wanted the queen. So I just moved that out of the way, and they knew that they didn't have any further checks. I mean, they could try and sacrifice that there, but they'd still be in the same boat. So they took there first, and I recaptured with the rook, and then they took the rook, and I was completely fine with that. Got rid of their queen. I still had my beautiful queen, and my goal from right here, just trade everything down and be done with it, like and win the game. So, and yeah, I was thinking about going here, but I was thinking, well, they could just like trap it and somehow and um, and get the free bishop, but that ended up being the like the good move, the great move. So I moved it back and just shuffled our pieces around a little bit, trying to make trades. Um, and I had thought about taking right there first, so I could also target this and harass the king, do my own ravaging of Black's um, base camp. And I thought, well, I'm sure I can get my queen back there again. Just give it a few moves. And they blocked it off. And I tried to open up that diagonal. and they gave me a free pawn, shuffled my rook back or my bishop back, and they attacked my knight. So it's delaying my ability to get my queen up here, take that pawn and do some damage. So I just have to move my pieces around and uh, and now I was finally able to open it up. And I moved my knight back here to prevent that pawn from pushing any further. Uh, it's good to move pieces to block uh, those types of pawns, and I also didn't want this rook to really give it some space to hit other pieces. So they're feeling kind of cramped in there. And we trade off some pieces, and I was just looking for checks, and possibly checks where I could capture pieces. So I was hoping I'd be able to check them enough to find something. So, and I didn't want to repeat moves too many times. And yeah, that was my bishop wasn't doing anything. It was still way back here, not participating. They must have forgot that it was there, and I was able to get that bishop in the game to come in and assist with checkmating the black king. So it's just trying to trade off pieces and pin, and here I was wanting to just march the pawn up, make him sacrifice something for it. So offering another trade, and checkmate. Um, and yeah, this I was surprised that they didn't make this move. Um, if they would have moved their rook up here, then I was going to come probably down to the square and try and check the king on this side. Um, possibly take that pawn first. Yeah, but they moved their king out of the way and allowed me to get my queen there for the checkmate. So, oh, I forgot to go over um, uh, the like the statistics on this, like 85% on this game, 76 on my opponents, and had one great move. And again, I'm trying to make it so I don't have any mistakes, misses, or blunders in my games. I'm going to miss stuff. That's okay. As long as I don't have any blunders or like really like mistakes. I would like to get it down where I don't really have the inaccuracies either. But sometimes the inaccuracies are not really inaccuracies. Um, but yeah, so 85.9% on that. Played like a 1500. That previous game, I didn't do as well, only a 73%, 73 and a half. I had two blunders, but I had four great moves and one brilliant move. So they said I played like a 1150 on that. So, anyways, thank you for watching the show and or my video, and Please hit like and subscribe, especially if you made it this far in. It really helps. And I'll see you next time. Thank you.